Imagine a world ruled by monsters. A world where you are not at the top of the food chain. Picture this: towering mammoths with tusks longer than you are tall, saber-toothed cats with fangs like daggers, and massive cave lions stalking you in the shadows. This was the reality for our earliest ancestors. They had no cities, no metal weapons, no safe havens. They were small, slow, and fragile. So, how on earth did they survive? How did a species with no obvious physical advantages manage to outlast the giants and eventually rule the planet? Let's travel back in time, 1 to 2 million years ago. The world was a brutal and unforgiving place. Humanity was in its infancy, and the Earth was going through dramatic climate shifts. Massive ice sheets advanced and retreated, creating cycles of intense cold known as the Ice Ages, followed by periods of scorching heat. The landscape was a patchwork of dense, dark forests and wide-open savannas, but these beautiful landscapes hid a constant threat. In this world, humans were not the dominant species. They were prey. Every step outside the safety of a cave was a gamble. Deadly predators lurked everywhere, bigger, faster, and stronger than any animal we know today. Surviving wasn't just about finding food. It was about avoiding becoming food. So, what exactly were these prehistoric beasts that our ancestors faced daily? Let's start with the iconic woolly mammoth. These weren't just big elephants. They were colossal, standing up to 11 feet tall and weighing over 6 tons. Their massive, curving tusks were perfect for defense and for clearing snow to find food. Then there was the saber-toothed tiger, it wasn't a tiger, but it was far deadlier. Its 7-inch long canine teeth were designed for one purpose: to slice through the flesh of its prey. Imagine a cat the size of a lion, but built like a bear, with knives for teeth. And it wasn't alone. They were giant hyenas, much larger and more powerful than their modern relatives, capable of crushing bones with a single bite. Lurking in the darkness of caves were the aptly named cave bears, which could stand over 10 feet tall on their hind legs, dwarfing even a modern grizzly. And hunting in packs were dire wolves, heavier and more robust than any wolf alive today, relentless in their pursuit. To put it in perspective, a grown man would barely reach the shoulder of a woolly mammoth. We were completely outmatched in size and strength. These animals didn't just compete with humans for resources. They actively hunted them. Faced with such terrifying creatures, what did early humans like Homo erectus have? No giant claws, no razor-sharp teeth, no thick, protective hide. Physically, they were one of the weakest large animals on the savanna, but they had a secret weapon, one that would change the course of history. Their brain. The human brain was growing in size and complexity. This allowed for something no other animal could do on the same level: complex thought, planning, and communication. They couldn't roar like a lion, but they could use sounds, gestures, and eventually, simple language to coordinate with each other. Their strength wasn't in their muscles. It was in their minds and their ability to work together as a team. This was a spark that would light the fire of human ingenuity. And speaking of fire, it was one of humanity's first and greatest tools. But before they mastered fire, they learned to master stone. By striking rocks together, they created the first primitive weapons: sharp-edged stones that could be used for cutting meat, scraping hides, and even as rudimentary spear points. They learned to shape wood into long, sharpened spears. These weapons were simple, but they were a massive leap forward. A spear gave a human reach, the ability to strike a predator from a slightly safer distance. But the true game-changer was fire. Learning to control fire meant light in the darkness, warmth in the cold, and a way to cook food, making it easier to digest. Most importantly, fire was a weapon. A wall of fire could keep the most ferocious predators at bay. The very beasts that haunted their nightmares were terrified of the flames that humans now commanded. Armed with their new tools and their growing intelligence, humans didn't just defend themselves, they started to fight back. They started to hunt the giants. But how could a small group of humans with stone-tipped spears take down a 10-ton mammoth? They used their brains. They developed sophisticated group hunting strategies. They wouldn't charge a healthy mammoth head-on. That was suicide. Instead, they would use their knowledge of the land to their advantage. They might work together to drive a herd of animals towards a cliff edge, or into a deep mud pit, where the beasts would be trapped and helpless. They would observe and target the weak, the young, or the injured members of a herd. It was a high-risk, high-reward strategy. One mistake, one moment of hesitation, could mean instant death. But a successful hunt meant a massive payoff. Tons of meat, thick hides for clothing and shelter, and bones and tusks for tools. This style of hunting reinforced the single most important factor in human survival: Cooperation. A single human was weak, but a group of humans working together was a force to be reckoned with. They hunted together, sharing the immense risk and the incredible rewards. Back at their camp, they shared the food, ensuring that everyone in the group, including the children and the elderly, had enough to eat. They protected each other, the hunters protected the camp, and those in the camp cared for the young, the future of their tribe. This deep-seated cooperation was the glue that held their small societies together. It created bonds of trust and mutual dependence that allowed them to face down a world of giants. This was the birth of community, the foundation of everything that would come later. So why did we win? Why are we here today, while the saber-toothed cats and woolly mammoths are gone? It wasn't because we were stronger. It was because we were smarter. Our intelligence gave us the ultimate advantage. Adaptability. While the giant beasts were highly specialized for their environment, humans could adapt to almost any situation. They created tools to solve problems. They developed strategies to overcome their physical limitations. Crucially, they learned from their mistakes. A failed hunt wasn't just a failure, it was a lesson. And this knowledge wasn't lost when an individual died. Through language and social learning, they passed down their accumulated wisdom from one generation to the next. Each new generation started with a greater wealth of knowledge than the last, creating a cycle of continuous improvement that no other species could match. The legacy of this epic struggle is all around us. Over thousands of years, the world changed. The climate warmed, and many of the giant prehistoric animals went extinct, unable to adapt. Some were likely pushed over the edge by the increasingly effective human hunters. With the great beasts gone, humanity's path was clear. They spread out from Africa, populating every continent on the planet, adapting to every environment from the frozen Arctic to the scorching desert. The survival skills honed in the age of giants' cooperation, innovation, and learning became the bedrock upon which all of human civilization was built. Everything we are today, our cities, our technology, our global society, has its roots in those small bands of ancestors who dared to challenge the monsters. They survived the impossible. They went from being the hunted to the undisputed rulers of the earth. It's an incredible story of how intelligence and teamwork can triumph over brute force. But it also raises a question. What really happened to all those magnificent beasts? Was it just human hunting? Or was something else at play? We'll dive into that mystery in our next video. What really killed the prehistoric giants? Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into the past, make sure to like and subscribe for more.